You are now listening to Lady Denim. Kick back and enjoy the ride. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. This is your host, Lady Denim, and today's topic we're going to be talking about addiction. When it comes to the horror stories of addiction, people automatically think about the temptation of booze or the seducing allure of drugs, but don't ever think about other forms of addiction. Sugar, gaming, attention, porn, and all of social media, yes, especially your precious TikTok, can also be addicting. The development of a full addiction occurs through a variety of circumstances. It involves craving for something intensely, loss of control over its use, and continuing involvement with it despite adverse consequences. Addiction changes the brain, first by subverting the way it registers pleasure, and then by corrupting other normal drives, such as learning and motivation. The word addiction derives from the Latin term for enslaved by or bound to. If you ask me, it almost sounds like a contract or a deal with the devil, and in exchange for temporary pleasures, you need to enslave your mind, body, and soul. Anyone who has suffered from addiction knows how strong the grip of Satan's hands around their neck feels. Tightening, restricting, until their eyes fade to black or they decide to fight back. For many years, experts believed that only alcohol and powerful drugs could cause addiction. However, neuroimaging technologies and more recent research have shown that other pleasurable activities such as gambling, shopping, and sex can also co-opt the brain. Nobody starts out intending to develop an addiction, but many people get caught up in its trap of deviousness and temporary raptures of diversion. People who are consumed by addiction are most likely trying to escape something else. Nearly 23 million Americans, almost 1 in 10, are addicted to alcohol or other drugs. More than 2/3 of people with addiction abuse alcohol. And the top 3 drugs causing addiction are marijuana, opioid pain relievers, and cocaine. Yes, ganja is without flaw, despite many standing by it. Let us not forget excessive use causes memory loss, ladies and gentlemen. But sweetie, it's a free country. I don't care much about what you do on your own time, as long as you aren't harming others. But weed, like any other drug or thrilling activity, can be extremely addicting, to the point I think people develop this unhealthy codependency on it just to get through daily life. The brain registers all pleasures in the same way, whether they originate with a psychoactive drug, a monetary reward, a sexual encounter, or a satisfying meal. In the brain, pleasure has a distinct signature. The release of the neurotransmitter dopamine in the nucleus accumbens, a cluster of nerve cells lying underneath the cerebral cortex. Dopamine release in the nucleus accumbens is so consistently tied with pleasure that neuroscientists refer to the region as the brain's pleasure center. The likelihood that the unbridled use of drugs or participation in certain activities will lead to addiction is directly linked to the speed which it promotes dopamine release, including the intensity and reliability of that release. Now, before I lose you, let's just say with drugs, the faster it is injected into the system, the better. The rapid sense of elation creates a conditioned response to certain stimuli. However, over time the brain adapts in a way that actually makes the sought-after substance or activity less pleasurable because constant access is always readily available. There is no reward anymore. In a person who becomes addicted, brain receptors are overwhelmed. The brain responds by producing less dopamine or eliminating dopamine receptors, an adaptation similar to turning the volume down on a loudspeaker when noise becomes too loud. As a result, people who develop an addiction typically find that in time, they have to ingurgitate more of the product to obtain the same high due to the effect of tolerance. Know that addiction can't be necessarily cured, but you can recover. All it takes is the willpower to claim the life once lost back. Work on overcoming the demon that had you in its grasp. Pinpoint the real problem, the problem that made you want to bury yourself deep in immense pleasure, the reason why you sought an easy temporary release from your reality. Darling, there is more to life than running away from underlying issues that you are afraid to confront. Have the courage to look into yourself and say, I don't want to be this person anymore. Remember, you are not alone, but recovery only works if you want it to. Seek therapy. Distract your mind by engaging in positive activities such as working out or hiking. Seek knowledge. There is so much out there to learn. And seek to learn a set of new skills and go create. You never know what you are capable of doing, especially being distracted by wallowing in your sorrows and cheap thrills. They are nothing but diversions from unlocking your true potential. Your behavior and how you view others will change too. I personally chose to talk about this topic because I noticed the rise in sex and porn addiction. And I am a woman who is constantly hounded and disrespected by people who don't see me as human, just an object. Addiction comes in many forms, and I think it's time people stop sugarcoating or denying that there is a problem. Stay safe, ladies and gentlemen, and don't hesitate to get help. Thank you for listening. You can follow me on Insta and Twitter at @adenum. Be sure to follow the Lady of Denim podcast on Facebook. And I recently just made my TikTok. Feel free to follow me on there if you have one. Mwah. Until next time, darling.